Okay, so we're here with Coach Steph. So, Coach, that was a tough loss against the number one ranked team in the country. Can you tell us about some positive things you saw in the game from your team?
No quitting, my kids. They worked hard for 4 quarters. They settled in a little bit in the second half. It's a relentless thing. That defense could compete, but they were on the field for maybe 40 plays in that first half. They get tired. The offense is trying to get a rhythm. They only get 18 snaps in the first half, and so it can downward spiral pretty quick. It did in the first half. I was proud of their fight, and we'll get into the film and see where specifically we need to get better.
Can you break down the game a little bit and tell us what needs to improve headed forward?
Without the film, I think their run game is one of the best in the country, and I thought the game plan throwing a lot of quicks for their offense was pretty good. Our defense wasn't losing first down in that first half and was doing a decent job of stopping the run, but the quick passing game and spreading it around was they were pretty tight in that first half. Battled and rallied. Offensively, our inability to establish run and our inconsistency in our short passing game meant we were 2 and out too much, and that against a good football team, you can't put your defense in that situation.
You came into the room today whistling, which is not typically the after a game, after a loss. Is that just an acknowledgement of who you were playing and how that game went?
Scott, the 47-14, there was no play that I could have called that would have made a difference. Each of us has to do everything a little better, but there's a whole bunch of us that have to wear this one. And I have a whole bunch of winners that are going to point a lot of thumbs and not many fingers this week, and we'll sort through it. We very much in the playoff mix, and we got to take care of these next 3 weeks. That's a team that most OUA programs are going to struggle against, and it actually doesn't impact your playoff odds because it's likely everybody in the league is going to have an 0-1 against the Mustangs this year.
It was 3 years ago that you guys were in Western winning the Gates Cup, and in 3 years you guys look like two programs that are very different from where you were then. Is that where do you see how we've got to this point where Western is still at the top of the game and you guys are struggling a bit?
I feel like line of scrimmage is you need to have critical mass to compete with this team, and if you do not, again, it becomes, your margins become very tight. So I don't think it's as far off as 47-14 might seem. You need to be able to carve out a little bit of a run game and battle a little bit at the line of scrimmage, and then all the other things start to matter. If you don't, it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is or how much you dress up your coverages and all the things you can do on the back end. Western, if you do not have critical mass up front, it's going to look like this all the time. And the Marauders have that in common with everybody they've played this year. So work to do. That if that is the national standard, we're excited to see the film tonight and tomorrow and lick our wounds and get going again.
Last thing for me, you've said for weeks now that 4-4 would be the mark you think is going to get you into the playoffs. Are you sticking with that? Because that would be running the table the rest of the way.
Yeah, there are a ton of scenarios at 3 and 5, and we've run them. We know them. The bottom line is control our destiny and get to 4-4. I think we're in 100%, so that's where we'll go one at a time. Guelph is talented as heck. They've had a rough start like us, but they've got athletes everywhere, so that's going to be a tough one. They're on bye, so they get 2 weeks to prepare for us. So we got to work hard to make sure that's not an advantage. We get 6 days on the short week because of Thanksgiving, and we got to get ready for that one. One of those teams is going to be 1-5, and then it's going to be an uphill battle for either Guelph or us. I think we're both must win, and so it should be an interesting battle of Highway 6.
Can you talk, Stefan, about how difficult it is from a physical standpoint, 6 days opposed to 7?
Yeah, it cuts one of your full practices because you just can't do the pounding. So your prep time is down. This physical game against Western, you'd probably always want an extra day because it is, they ran the ball, I bet you 40 times today, and at the line of scrimmage that wears you down a little bit. And so we got to sort through all of those things. The kick in the teeth is we're on 6 days, Guelph's on 13, and so they get a week and a whole bunch. And so the short week against a team that's had a bye, we'll figure it out. I got the best sport medicine people and strength and conditioning people in the business. We'll get the kids mentally ready and physically ready. And again, it's 2 programs. It's probably do or die for this season if you can't get to 2 and 4. If you're 1 and 5, it's an uphill battle from there.
And I guess in terms of you guys are coming off the bye week, heading to this game, I guess. Like, here's kind of looking, when you look at it, kind of, when you look back at kind of what was that preparation like in terms of coming to that game, in terms of what you feel maybe you did well preparation, or maybe what you could have done better?
Yeah, I think we, from a game plan standpoint, I thought Scott and the defense were in good spots, and they could make plays. I think they got worn down. I think in that first half, again, we only had 18 offensive snaps in the first 15 or 30 minutes of football. The defense was just on the field too much. So I think Scott had a very good game plan. Most game plans hinge on a few inches here or there, and they, if you get on the field too much, they unravel pretty quickly. Offensively, I think we had kids open and things that we could do. The 2 and outs and having the line of scrimmage not be as solid as we needed to be early was telling. And then because they are such a ball control offense, we once you have a few 2 and outs, you're already into the second quarter, and then before you know it, it's halftime. And so it snowballed in a bad way. I think my staff did a good job preparing for this team, and we were aware of what we were coming into, and I stand by the plans. We'll see the film and see where we could have put kids in a better spot, and where we did put kids in a better spot and they didn't execute. And like I said, I think the whole organization is going to point a lot of thumbs this week. What can I do better? What did I screw up, as opposed to point any fingers? And so coaches are going to say the game plan's got to be better. Players got to say they got to play harder. It's the great thing about our locker room and our young men and our coaching staff.
I think it's lastly for me in terms of Lee Keegan, that might be the first career rushing touchdown.
Yeah, maybe.
He's got some passing that we're looking at before that his first career rushing one. Here's kind of what you saw from his run there, and then his play overall.
He's a competitor. That's the best thing I can say about Keegan. He's a fantastic, polished, skilled quarterback, but he's a football player that happens to play quarterback, not a quarterback that happens to play football. And so I think you saw that. He's not afraid to get his fingernails dirty, and he wants to compete, and he loves the sport. Very, very talented quarterback, but he is a football player first and foremost.
Cumber. He's one of the defensive captains for the Marauders, and I'm just going to open it up to the floor so we can get rolling.
Josh, you knew they were a pretty good team before this week. When you're out there playing them, do you think they're what we expected, or they're better than we expected, or what's it like when you're out on the field?
Well, I mean, it's no secret that Western's the national standard. They're #1 in the country, national champions last year. But after playing today, the score may say something different, but I think we learned today that we can play with them at a lot of levels of the game. I think our front seven played incredible against the run, and we let up too many explosive plays. Me personally, I didn't have the best game. DBs didn't hold up the edge, and you take away those explosive plays, that's a completely different game. So yes, they're a fantastic team, no doubt about it, but this score says something else. I think today showed we can play with them.
In the first half especially, it looked like when you guys would key on the run, that would open up the sidelines, and they would beat you with the run, or they would beat you with the out throws. And
right.
How do you deal with that when that seems so effective?
You just got to bear down, because it's a lot of the time it was just a one-on-one matchup, whether it's on my side or the other side, and it's just man on man who wins it. There isn't anything we can really change. It's just who's going to win that matchup.
And in the locker room at halftime, 33-0. Mac has not been in that position very often over the last number of years. What's said in the locker room at that point to come out and try and hold your ground, or what is said?
Well, I mean, we've faced adversity before, so anytime we're in that situation, it's just a next play attitude. You know, if you worry about the stuff that happened previously, then the stuff that happens in the future is going to gash you too. So it's just, yeah, they got us for 33 points, they got us for a few explosive plays, explosive passes, but you just got to have a next play attitude, or else they're going to run all over you.
How tough is it going to be physically losing a day? Today night?
Could you repeat that? Sorry.
How tough is it losing a day physically because you play today, you play Friday?
Right. I've honestly never been in that position before. I've never had a short week in the OUA, so it's a new experience for me. I was here in 2018 when we had a Thursday game against Queens. I didn't dress for it, but that week it's not anything different. We're prepping the same way, we're doing the same film. It's just one less day.
Are you looking at Friday as a must-win game for you guys
Yes.
for your season?
Yes, 100%. This was a playoff game. Next week is a playoff game. Every other week is a playoff game. We know the situation. We know what happened with our forfeits and that, so it's must win at this point.
And then, Josh, you mentioned, Michael from 49 Sports, you mentioned the explosive plays and stuff. I'm curious for you guys, especially kind of with the week kind of leading into preparation, I guess. Like, when you look back on it, kind of, how do you feel like kind of you're prepared for Western versus in terms of what happened on the field, I guess?
I think we had an amazing week of prep. We had a bye week going in, so we had an extra day of practice. And I think it showed today, that's the best rushing offense in the league, and I think our front seven really held them, and that was something we really stressed over the week. And in terms of the explosive plays, we may have been expecting more stuff over the top rather than the short stuff and then getting yards after that. But still, like I said earlier, it's in that situation, it's man on man. You can't expect one thing to happen. You got to be ready for anything. So, yeah.
And then, in the second half, so from the third, fourth quarter, you're able to hold them for more punts and stuff like that. Do you feel, in terms of the defense did things change or things you did really well kind of in that second half when, Western kind of stopped scoring there?
Yeah. I just think it was a next play attitude. We're not gonna just wallow and worry about all the stuff we did previously, all the mistakes. Like me personally, if I had worried about the mistakes I did in the first half, my mind would have been in it in the second half, and I think that carries over throughout the whole defense. So yeah, that was just the attitude. Next play, no matter what the score is, we're gonna play 100%.
No, thanks, Josh.
Appreciate it.